I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you?
What's up, April here, and welcome back to The Struggle is Real, my YouTube channel where I do TV and movie reactions and reviews, all for your viewing pleasure. And also mine. Today I'll be reviewing the horror comedy The Blackening. I will try to keep this review short and sweet and very much to the point because I do have feelings about this movie. Now, you know the saying, if you don't have anything nice to say, keep it to yourself, but I do have some nice things to say about this movie, but I also have some criticisms. So with that in mind, I've decided to put it into a compliment sandwich. So the bread of this sandwich is gonna be the compliments, and the stuff in the sandwich, the ingredients, are gonna be the criticisms. Now, how many criticisms or ingredients are in this sandwich? Did you come hungry? Now, for those of you that don't know, The Blackening is about a group of friends that go away to a cabin in the woods to celebrate Juneteenth. They're all black, mind you, and in the process of them doing that, not only do they discover this super racist game that questions their blackness, but they also end up discovering that there is a killer trying to get rid of them as they're in this cabin in the woods, and they begin a fight for survival to make it through the night. Now, The Blackening is actually based off of a Comedy Central skit that came out in 2018 from the comedy troupe Threepeat, and the writer of that skit, Dwayne Perkins, who is playing Dwayne in The Blackening, actually wrote the script and was the character Dwayne in the skit as well. So they're basically turning that skit into a movie, and that's what The Blackening is. Now, in 2018, I actually saw that skit and I thought it was so freaking funny. I will actually put the link in the description box. It still holds weight to this day. And to be honest with you, a lot of parts of that skit are placed in the movie. I mean, the skit holds weight. It's amazing. You put some of the things in the skit in the movie. That's cool. And so that's what they did. Most of what's in the skit is actually in the trailer for the movie, so that way technically it's not really spoiled, which is fair and that makes sense. Now, strangely enough, I actually did not remember about the skit when I went to go see the movie. It was only when I came back and I was about to do this review for you all and I remembered, oh my gosh, that is the skit. Like, I rewatched the trailer to The Blackening, I rewatched the skit, I was just like, wow, they are literally the exact same thing. Now, one of the things that I thought worked for The Blackening was the premise. A bunch of black friends go to a cabin in the wood. You subverting the expectations right there. Obviously, the trailer and the tagline for the movie, "We Can't All Die First," is actually really funny because typically in horror, a lot of black characters end up dying first or don't even make it through the movie. And it's only now in the past, I don't know, 15 years that we actually have black characters that are now making it to the end of horror films, and we celebrate you. You've made it. Congratulations. You're surviving for all of us. So I thought that was actually really interesting. Now, here's where it was an issue. The skit for The Blackening was very much a skit. It was a short film. There was one central premise. The premise was they're being stalked by this serial killer outside, and the killer is going to kill whoever is the blackest, period, point blank. And these friends all try to defend why they're not the blackest so that they can avert being killed. However, that is one of the many scenes within The Blackening. Obviously, that's fair. And the movie is centered, or in the beginning, is centered around this board game that they find, and they have to prove their blackness within this board game. And then after that, they're pretty much just trying to survive. The problem is, or one of the problems that I thought, is that because the skit is focused on that one thing, the movie is trying to do a lot of things. It's trying to do a lot of things for the culture. It's trying to represent a lot of different things. And I feel like it kind of missed the mark. Like, because it was trying to be so much, it ended up really not being anything at all. There were a couple standout moments in the film, without spoiling too much, where like characters were communicating a certain way, and I thought that was really funny. And the beginning of the movie with the introduction of the different casts of characters was also really good, and I'm gonna get to that towards the end of my review, talking about the cast, because the cast was incredible. But I did go into this movie like really kind of like excited to like laugh, like belly laugh, the way that I laughed at the original skit and the way that I laughed when I saw the trailer. And it almost kind of felt like some of the best moments were in that trailer, and some other moments were sprinkled about, but it didn't really hit me the way that I wanted it to, and I was kind of left disappointed, like straight up.
I am very disappointed.
Like, I didn't dislike the movie. I was just actually highly disappointed by it because I wanted to like it so much, and I ended up walking away from it kind of a bit unfulfilled. Now, with a movie of this caliber, it being a horror comedy starring mainly black people, or technically almost all black people, you're going to get some comparisons to older black comedy horror movie-esque things, and one of the first things that people compare this to is Scary Movie. Now, the difference is very stark. Scary Movie was making fun of horror movie tropes in a general sense, and The Blackening is making fun of horror movie tropes as they kind of pertain to black people. The reason I have to bring up Scary Movie though is because Scary Movie, in its heyday of 90s or late 90s, early 2000s comedy, with the R rating that Scary Movie had, it went for those jokes. Like, it decided that nothing was going to be off limits, whether that be black comedy, white comedy, horror, anything that it was making fun of. It took it to that limit and then it surpassed it. And what I felt like The Blackening did was it kind of approached the limit of a joke, and it didn't jump the way that I thought it was going to. I mean, there were some certain things in this movie that I really felt like probably could have been pushed a little bit harder. The jokes could have like really gone for it, and instead it just kind of like simmered, where it actually could have like boiled over and been something incredible. And now that goes to me talking about the cast. The cast of this movie was really dope. I felt like all of the actors and actresses in this movie really showed up to be those characters who they were supposed to be. And because of that, I feel like the material that was given to them actually wasn't enough. Like, they showed up for this challenge, and unfortunately they weren't pushed as hard as I feel like they could have been pushed. I feel like every single person that was a part of the movie like showed up ready to act, ready to do their characters justice, and for what they were given, they absolutely did. But I also feel like if they would have been given material that really like pushed those characters to the limit, they would have showed up for it. Like, they absolutely would have nailed it. So for what they got, they killed it, but I feel like it could have been brought way more, and if it had been brought way more, they absolutely would have done it justice. But I kind of almost feel like they weren't really given the chance to, and that absolutely sucks, because I think if they would have gotten it, it would have been great. I almost felt like The Blackening was so concerned with trying to hit all of these cultural stereotypes in the course of the movie that it kind of like missed the point. Like, I feel like it should have just taken a handful and really done those to the complete extent or surpassed where they could have been taken, instead of like trying to just throw a wide net and see where it falls. For example, there are episodes of the Chappelle Show, like the racial draft or the black KKK member, where they honed in on a specific thing and they took that concept to the limit. Even episodes of the Boondocks, like the Itis, or when Martin Luther King Jr. was there, they took those episodes completely to its extent. You know what I mean? And I feel like even with Scary Movie hitting all of these things over the course of the movie, Scary Movie in and of itself was a satire of Scream. It was a satire of the Scream franchise first, and it hit all these other scary movies in the process of doing that. However, the core of that was Scream. So it had a foundation, and I'm not entirely sure The Blackening had a good enough foundation for the jokes that it was trying to land, and then it could push it to the limit once it had that foundation established. Unfortunately, there was nothing established, and it was just kind of grasping at things that sometimes it landed and sometimes it didn't, and I feel like it could have been so much more. Like, I honestly feel like this movie could have been this huge cultural moment, not only for like black comedy but black horror, and I feel like it really kind of missed the mark. And so, like I said, I don't dislike the movie. I'm just disappointed in how it landed, especially seeing the original skit and knowing how hard that skit hit, and knowing that this was such a good moment for it to be expanded upon, that idea to be expanded upon, and it kind of fell flat for me. So coming back around to the bread of my compliment sandwich, even though I kind of touched on it a little bit in the middle, so maybe it's like a triple decker sandwich where there's like bread in the middle or something like that. I don't know. I have to come back to the cast because I really love the cast of this movie. There were friendships within the cast that I feel like this cast might have actually been friends in real life, and if they weren't, then they probably became friends over the course of doing the movie. But you could see that those relationships fostered were really good. And even the little pop-up from Yvonne Orji and Jay Farrow was also really cool in the movie as well. But the overall cast of this movie, I thought, did a really great job. I just wish that they were given slightly better material to work with something that would have pushed them, because comedically, I think they all are amazing. I just really would have wished for them to have something more tangible for them to actually like show off and absolutely kill it too, because I feel like they deserve that. And if this movie ends up getting a sequel or like another part happens, I really hope that the script pushes it a little bit more to give them something to grasp onto, to show what they're capable of. To just have an R rating so that you can kind of like throw around the N-word a couple times, and I just feel like that's not enough. Tim Story, the director of this movie, also directed some other black comedies like Think Like a Man, Think Like a Man 2, Barbershop, Taxi, and the other writer on this movie, Tracy Oliver, was one of the writers of the movie Girls Trip, and she's also been writing for the show Harlem and the show First Wives Club. So all parties involved from the writing to the directing have been involved in various black comedies or black cinema over the past, I don't know, 20 years. And so because of that, I even feel more so that the movie could have been so much more than it was, and that's why the only word that I can leave with is disappointment.
And if there is one thing I do not like, it is to be disappointed.
I really am disappointed in this film. I wanted to like it so bad. So bad. Maybe in a couple years, like I'll rewatch the movie, or when it comes out on streaming, I'll rewatch it and it'll be funnier to me. I have no idea. But right now, but I do think the cast was great. Shout out to the cast, because y'all killed it. I do hope that cast does more stuff together too, like with a better script so that they can shine. But they were fly, so big ups to y'all. Anywho, thanks so much for joining me for this review of The Blackening. If you've seen this movie, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. If you haven't seen this movie and you're excited to see it, or want to see it, or what have you, tell me about it in the comments below. Let's talk about it. We all need to share our feelings about this experience. If you've liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Hit subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, more movie and TV reactions and reviews. And for The Strugglers Row, I've been April, and I'll see you real soon.